Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Okay, so you see that color right there? Yeah, that'll give you a hint of what I'm here to talk about. No, not what it says, just the color. The Charlotte Hornets. Yes, today I'm here to talk about the Charlotte Hornets because they're really playing great basketball, and I know not a lot of people have had them on their radar for very long, but as of this season, the bandwagon should be all aboard because they have an exciting young team, and I'm excited about what I'm seeing. So, first of all, I want to give Mitch Kupchak, Michael Jordan, those guys their credit. They've done a fantastic job of kind of creating a foundation for which winning can be manifested, I guess is what I'll say. They had a good draft here. Last year they had some guys break out, particularly Devontae Graham, their draft pick, PJ Washington Jr. He was really, really good. And they've just done a good job of putting solid players in place to play. Terry Rozier. So, yeah. At this point, I'm looking at them and saying, you know, they legitimately look like a team that's going to be fighting for a playoff spot. They should be in the play-in game if they don't make the playoffs. Like, that's how good I believe they are at this point. LaMelo Ball put up a triple-double tonight. He was one digit off of one of the three major statistical categories. Yesterday, in the game that he played against New Orleans, his first game against his big brother, and he really showed out both of those games, and he really just kind of gives you an understanding of what he's about. He's not bashful scoring the ball, but I would say he's equally as talented passing the ball as he is as is Lonzo, which is really a shock to me because I did not know that he was that gifted of a passer. I figured he was a solid, point guard, but more so of a scoring guard. But no, he has that it factor in terms of dishing the ball out, making sure guys get it in their spots. He's fantastic at getting guys the ball in transition, things of that nature. And you could see guys just simply getting easy looks, good rhythm shots with him on the floor. Now, I said this after he scored 100 points or whatever it was, the cherry pick game in high school. I said he was going to be better than his brother. I said that. And I thought that then, and I became a Zoe fan, but I never wavered from that opinion. I've always believed that LaMelo Ball was just slightly greater of a player than Lonzo. And to start his career, you're seeing that the path that he took made for better preparation for the competition that he's facing than maybe Zoe had when he first got here. And you can see it, even though the Charlotte Hornets are still a few pieces away from being a very talented team, they're getting the most out of everybody, and part of that is because of the cohesiveness that he brings to the table off of the bench. Terry Rozier is playing like an all-star right now. Devontae Graham picked up right where he left off last year. Those three guards are probably three of the best trio guard tandems you'll find in the entire league. You'll find better duos, but trios, I don't know that you'll find a better trio. Gordon Hayward is playing out of his mind. I still think his contract is horrible, but I will say that he looks good right now. And that's all you want. One game at a time, one season at a time with a contract like that. And a guy like Gordon Hayward continues to play at a level that demands your respect. That's the best way I know how to describe Gordon Hayward's game. I think I've been a prisoner of the white boy can't necessarily keep up bullcrap mentality as it pertains to him. I'll admit that I've been a victim of that as it pertains to Gordon Hayward, and he continues to make me look stupid, completely and utterly stupid. I liked him at Baylor. I liked him at Utah. I liked what he was going to bring to the Celtics before the injury, and that entire Celtics situation was just not ideal. It looked bad for the team in terms of, obviously, you know the story. Guys playing behind him who probably deserve to play up ahead of him, them trying to work him back into the equation. Couple that with Kyrie, you know the story. So Gordon Hayward's tenure with Boston Celtics would make you think that he's not going to bounce back and play the way that he's capable of playing. But sure enough, here we are at the beginning of the season, and he is a very intricate part of what the Charlotte Hornets do, and he has led them doing the subtlety things that you need him to do, being a consistent scorer, being a guy who can rebound the ball a little bit, being a guy who's going to be fantastic from the line. Just all the stuff you want to see him do on the offensive end, he is doing for them. And some of that explosiveness. I got to say this about Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is an athletic player. Again, the prisoner of the moment, white boy crap can make you think otherwise. But you have to understand, he has never had a problem getting off of the floor. He's never had a problem staying in shape. He's always had good genetics as it pertains to being an athletic player. Okay, so that's the thing that you have to remember about Gordon Hayward. So when he bounces back from an injury, such as the one he came back from, you knew he would need some time to get healthy. You knew he would need some time to get conditioned. But after becoming conditioned, your way of thinking about what a player is going to come back to be, based on whether or not you think they're athletic versus whether or not they're going to be someone who's going to struggle with their conditioning, getting back in shape. Gordon Hayward never had a problem being athletic. He had quick twitch muscles. He had the things that you want your players to have when considering what it takes to come back from certain injuries and be themselves again. And sure enough, he might be a slight step slow, but he really, really looks good to start this Charlotte Hornets career. And to be honest, the pressure on him may be high as it pertains to the contract given, but the role that the Charlotte Hornets have him playing allows him to be one of the guys. You know, it's a little less than what the Boston Celtics provided him, because he was supposed to be a leader there, and, you know, they didn't have a lot of weapons offensively outside of the main stars. So it's like if he's not doing what he needs to do, it can kind of shuffle the roster in such a way that really makes for a lesser team. Charlotte doesn't have that issue. He seems to fit in with Charlotte a lot better than he just seemingly fit with the Boston Celtics. So a lot of reason for optimism as it pertains to Gordon Hayward's tenure there. I don't think that's going to be a tradable contract, but if he continues to take care of his body, his game is going to speak for itself. And you know, I am happy to tell everybody that I was ignorant as it pertains to Gordon Hayward, that he has proven me wrong every single time, and that is a legitimate all-star in this league who's continuing to show why people believe in him. And you know, I'm a fan. I really am. And I like that somebody challenges that notion of stereotypes, because it's necessary in sports and everywhere else. Terry Rozier is the next player I want to talk about on this team, because Terry Rozier has, and you guys heard me talk about Terry Rozier if you've watched my channel. I think the Clippers should be trying to trade for Terry Rozier. That was the last conversation I had about this player. He's just the type of guy who would probably want out of the situation he's in, because he's always played behind point guards who may be more talented than him or may have as much talent as him, but nevertheless, he seems to be the one coming off the bench. That is not the case right now, but as good as LaMelo's playing, I don't think you can get away with keeping him on the bench for much longer. If they keep LaMelo on the bench all season long, I think he'll have a legitimate chance to not only win Rookie of the Year, but also Sixth Man of the Year. That's how good Melo's playing right now. So, but at the same time, Terry's playing like an all-star. I think he'll make his first all-star team this year. With that being the case, you really can't justify sitting him either. I mean, the man is balling, completely out of control, one of the more consistent offensive players on that team, and you can't put a price on some of the stuff that he's doing just within his lane. So even though I felt that he would be a good piece to trade, if I'm the Hornets and I'm looking at the way the chemistry is starting to form, maybe I'm reluctant to actually do that after all, if I'm them. So, you know, like I said, one of the best trios of point guards that you're going to find in the league right now. And of course, if you want to talk about a trio, you got to bring in the third guy, and that's Devontae Graham. I believe he won Most Improved, did he? Or was that B.I.? I think B.I. got it, but he was in that conversation. I personally think he was the most improved player of last year. Fearless three-point shooter, fearless scorer. He really doesn't have a off switch as it pertains to his aggressiveness, shooting the ball. The dude he's really, really, really efficient, and he's really, really, really active. So when you have a player like that who's looking to score a lot and is not a selfish player, he's a point guard, so he understands the importance of passing as well. That's just one more super deadly weapon that the Charlotte Hornets have. So that's just their guards. When you start moving into their forward situation, of course, we've talked about Gordon Hayward already, but they have the Martin twins, of whom I didn't even know were two different people. That shows how far out of the loop I was as it pertains to the Charlotte Hornets roster. They got a set of twins, Caleb Martin, and I don't know the other guy's name, but they're twins. They're like a minute apart, just like the Morris twins. And them boys, they got some pop to them. I'm not really certain of their game. I'm more familiar with Caleb Martin for some reason, for whatever reason that is. But they both play for the Charlotte Hornets, and they're both getting bench players minutes, and they seem to be maximizing their opportunities. So what I saw from them in the Atlanta game, the highlights that I saw just now, has me thinking those guys are going to be for real, and you're going to have to deal with them as well. So that's exciting. When you move on up, of course, P.J. Washington. That's a guy who can shoot the three-point shot from the power forward position, but he has a traditional power forward body, big guy, can rebound, has some inside moves as well. So the sky's the limit for a guy like that offensively. When you talk about big guys who can stretch the floor, he can do that for you, and he's just getting better and better. He's pretty consistent too. Definitely a guy you like on your fantasy team. Miles Bridges jumps out the gym. One of the biggest highlight reel draws you'll find in the league. I think the worst thing for him up until this point was playing for the Hornets. But now he's playing with one of the most cloudiest players in the world in LaMelo Ball. So now everybody's going to get a chance to see him. And I'm telling you, Charlotte has highlight potential with a guy like that on their roster alone. You ain't got to mention nobody else. Miles Bridges is going to do stuff that's going to make you go, whoa. And he's jumping out of the gym for real. Zach LaVine type jumps, Vince Carter type jumps. He's one of those kind of dudes. Like, he ain't nothing normal at all. So pay attention to Miles Bridges. He's always been able to jump, but I think his game is starting to come around. And I don't think I really understand his game or know his game to really speak on it, because I haven't watched a whole lot of him. But what I can tell you is he's not bashful from the three-point line. His jump shot is starting to develop a little more and more. He's starting to get on the boards a little more. He's starting to put up a little more on the defensive stats. He's just a guy that's slowly but surely coming along, and his natural athletic ability is going to allow him to continue to do what it is that he does, which is electrify and bring forth energy to his team. So a guy like that has some value, and I think he's only getting better. He's only getting better. And then you look at a guy like Bismack Biyombo, their center position. Now, that's their weakest spot, obviously. They've been rolling around with Zeller for a while. I know they drafted a guy by the name of Vernon Carey. He hasn't gotten any minutes yet. But Bismack Biyombo is their starting center, and he's really doing a good job. We know who he is. He's not much of an offensive guy, and he's been hurt a lot in his career. But when he does find himself on teams, he usually is known for shot blocking and rebounding, and he's given them that and a little bit of offense to go along with it. He's been more aggressive, and like I said, when you have point guards, especially a guy like LaMelo Ball, who's really, really looking to make others better, really looking to pass, guys like me, Bismack Biyombo, are the guys that get elevated because of a guy like LaMelo Ball on their team. So you can see the LaMelo effect in him particularly, because it's just very easy to get points when you have guys drawing defenses and then finding you with spectacular passes, and that's exactly what LaMelo does. So yeah, that's what I understand about the Charlotte team. Obviously, they have more players on their team. I don't know if I mentioned Corey Zeller or not. I'm not sure if he's still down there. I haven't seen him a whole lot. But I think if there was a way for them to really improve, that would be the case, the center position. Even though Biyombo's playing really well, if they can find a guy who, like a Christian Wood, or maybe even Kelly Olynyk, maybe somebody like that, if they can get a player, one more piece at that center position, they're gone. They're running past teams in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be a top 5 Eastern Conference team if they can find themselves a center. because they do have a bunch of weapons. Now, the thing that bothers me right now, and it's my fault, is I really don't know who's coaching their team. I really don't know, and I'm just I'm just in the dark because I wasn't paying attention to watching the highlights, but I wasn't paying attention to the sideline. So that's my error. Pay me no attention in that regard. But at the end of the day, whoever that is that's coaching them has really done a good job. I'm assuming he was there last year. He got the most out of Devontae Graham and P.J. Washington. This year, he's getting the most out of all the new guys, including LaMelo Ball. And the guys from last year are continuing the momentum of continuing to play well. It's not like they've taken steps backwards because of the presence of a LaMelo Ball. So, yeah, a lot to like about the Charlotte Hornets right now. If you're a Charlotte Hornet fan, this is the first time probably since the 90s that you really feel in your squad. And it's good. It's a good thing. I grew up enjoying the Charlotte Hornets brand. Before I really got into basketball as a fan, I had a Charlotte Hornets jacket that I wore every day. You know what I mean? And it was just about living in that era where the Charlotte Hornets paraphernalia was something that you wanted to wear. It was almost like the Raiders. It was almost like, you know, some of those cult classic kind of uniforms that people used to wear a lot. Out here it was Raiders. Out here it was always Lakers, of course. Out here it was LA Kings stuff, things like that, Dodgers. But after you start looking at your hometown stuff, what everybody was wearing was like the Charlotte Hornets stuff. Like, really. Everybody and their grandmama had a Hornets jacket, starter jacket. So, you know, to see the Hornets finally in a position to draw again, you know, for those who remember the Grandma Ma days, the Glenn Rice days, rest in peace Bobby Fields. You remember when that happened? You remember Muggsy Bogues, you know, Alonzo Mourning before he got to the Heat. Like, those of us who remember the Charlotte Hornets, they were a real franchise. There were a lot of teams in the league, but not everybody worked all the paraphernalia from various teams. The Hornets would have your attention back in the day. So, yeah, man, it's good to see them back. They're no longer the Bobcats. Thank God for that. Worst team name ever. And, yeah, here we are talking about the Charlotte Hornets. I hope that now TNT and ABC and all those guys over the next several years, as the team improves, starts to give them a bit more nationally televised games, because personally, they're like my second favorite team to watch highlights of at this point, behind my own team. They're the second team. I'm going to look at Hornets highlights after I look at Laker highlights at this point. That's where we're at. So if I'm that enthused all the way from LA, I'm pretty sure you guys in Charlotte and all the fans in the East Coast are pretty excited about that young team. So that's what I got. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, there's more to their team than what I was able to give you. But like I said, I'm from LA, so it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.